I get Erev Shabbos, everybody. Welcome to Jerry's Parsha Ponderings for Parshat Mishpatim 5784. I want to just briefly touch on a part of the Parsha that sometimes I feel gets a little overlooked. And that is the part about, at the end, Shishi, Shvi'i, Hine Anochi Sholeach Malach Lefanecha. I'm going to send my angel in front of you to guide you to the land. And as I said last week in Parshat Yisro, the war that going on here in Eretz Yisrael, the war against Hamas has so many direct links to the Parsha of the Shavua. And if we remember, Rachmana litzlan, this started on Simchas Torah. So it's really been the whole time since Shmini Atzeres, we're dealing with this. And we started with Bereshis, and here we are in Mishpatim. Hine anochi sholeach malach lefanecha, lishmarcha badarach ulaviacha, El hamakom asher hachinoti. I'm going to move my chumash. God says, I'm going to send my angel before you, and he's going to lead you to the land. Ishamer mi panavu shma bekolo al tamer bo ki lo yisa lefishechem ki shemi bekirbo. This is a very interesting pasuk. It says, be careful and listen to his voice. Who is this him? Who are we talking about here? Right? Al tamer bo, don't upset him. That'll only make him angry. Don't shoot him. That'll only make him angry. Right? Ushma al tamer bo ki lo yisol pishechem. He's not going to stand for your stuff. Right? Ki shemi bekirbo. Now, when we think about this, I have heard the argument, and especially nowadays, after what we're going through and what we've been through, and certainly after the Shoah, the old "where was God" argument. And the Torah is telling us right here, Hashem is sending a malach to run things. Now, we don't do the whole intermediary thing, right? But Hashem is saying, don't confuse me with Santa Claus, right? In other words, I couldn't believe in a God that would do such terrible things. Well, terrible things according to whom? Terrible things may be according to you, but we know that everything God does ultimately is for our benefit. Even the most difficult and most terrible things, ultimately, they say what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. And that really is the way things are. Al tamer bo, don't test me, God is saying. So who is this malach? Well, maybe, why don't we call the malach Mother Nature? The natural order of things. Not Mother Nature, but the natural order of things. Teva, right? Mada. All these, there is a way that the world works. There's people say, play stupid games, win stupid prizes. Yeah, that's kind of how it works. If you do X, then you're going to have to suffer Y. Oh, but nowadays it's like, you can't hit your kid, you can't give them a patch, you can't this, you can't offend them, you can't trigger them. Oh, I love that word, trigger. The only trigger I know is on my son's M16i. What are we talking about here? Hashem is saying, no. You might get offended, but I'm very sorry. If you do things that are not good, you are going to suffer consequences that are not good. And this is all before the whole Naaseh v'nishma. we said, no, we're going to do what God says, and we're going to listen to the reasoning. We're going to learn the reasoning. What's learning for? Learning is to know, right? We are perhaps the only religion that says, no, we don't follow blind. In our religion, it says, in Yiddishkeit, it says, Talmud Torah Keneged Kulam. Yes, I mean, Torah is an intellectual exercise, but we're learning Almanas Lasos. Nasa v'nishma. We're going to do, even if we don't necessarily know the reason, we trust that Hashem has his reasons, but that does not absolve us of the obligation to try to learn those reasons. Not just to sit stam, but to learn, to try to open our minds to godliness, spirituality, and the esoteric. That is why we study. And the Torah says further on that Hashem is going to send this malach, and actually I read in Rashi, actually, that this malach is Metatron, one of the ascendants. If you study, if you study certain parts of Kabbalah, you'll see that Metatron is one of the ascendant Malchei Hasharet, right? And Hashem saying, all right, Matt, whatever he calls him, this is how we're running the world. You got this? No problem, boss, I'm on. So, and then Hashem says very interestingly that if you follow my commandments in the land, then I will bless your vavadatem et Hashem Elokechem uveirachet lachmecha v'et meimecha. Your bread and your water will be blessed, and I will take sickness away from you. But it only says that. Notice it says if you follow, not if you don't. If you don't, there are consequences. And then the Torah says that he's going to send before us his tzirah, which is a type of weapon. They say it's a wasp, it's a this, it's a that. It's a weapon, It's a stinger. Think M16I. RPG or tank. Bird, a tzirah is a wasp, a hornet. F-14, F-15, F-16. These are the hornets, Rabbi Say. These are our modern day tzirot. And then it says, very interesting, that it's going to drive out the inhabitants of the land. Lo agarsheno mipanecha bashana achas. This isn't going to happen overnight, right? It could take weeks, it could take months, it could take years, it could take a century, right? Bashana achas pen yitiyaaretz shmama. The land will lay fallow. V'raba alecha chayat hasadeh. And you will have to deal with the animals. V'hamevin yavin. Those that understand will know what I'm talking about. No, ma'at agarsheno mipanecha. I'm going to do this slowly. Ad asher tifre. Until you will become numerous, fruitful, if you will. V'nachalta et haaretz. And you will inherit the land. Well, there are a couple of ways that you can do this. You can do it by having lots of kids, which is a good idea, right? Have large families, which in Israel, certainly amongst the national religious and the Haredi, we start at around 5 and move up from there. We Baruch Hashem, thank God, fruitful and multiply. But the other way is to be here. That's also tifreh. Uvnei Yisrael paru vayishritzu vayirbu vayatzmu b'ma'od ma'od. Right? We have to be. People say, how can I help Israel? The best way you could help Israel is by being in Israel. That's the number one thing you can do. Other help is certainly welcome. To come on missions, to buy a place here, invest, very good. Right? What else? Any type of support to help Israel in the war effort is very, of course, helpful. Excuse me, I have to fix this. But All of these efforts are very important, but the number one way to be mafre v'nachalta et haaretz is to be, and Hashem is saying very clearly, it's not going to happen overnight. It may not be in the first 75 years. It may take a little bit, but we have to do ours. If we want bracha, we have to do what Hashem wants from us. And then it says right after that, I mean, can you possibly get any clearer? Vishati et gevulcha, I am going to spread your boundaries, miyam suf, from the Red Sea, viad yam plishtim, until the Mediterranean, umimidbar, and in the desert, right? Ad hanahar, until the river. Okay, we know that river's the Euphrates, but you want to see from the river to the sea? Here you go, everybody. Right in the book. River to the sea. Right? From the river to the sea, all you're going to see is Am Yisrael. Rabbi Isai, have a wonderful Shabbos. A Parshat Mishpatim. Learn the laws. A special Mazel Tov to my nephew Hillel and his new wife Chani. Last night was their wedding. We're going to spend Sheva Brachot with them. May we all have a wonderful Shabbos. May we hear good news from our soldiers. Nitzachon ad hasof. Shabbat Shalom.